Hi, friend. You are welcome to today's edition of this interview. And today we are blessed to have a co-founder of Mission Driven Purpose. It's an NGO in the United States. And this person is a lawyer who practices in the area of commerce. He is in the person of lawyer Kofi Twumasi. Lawyer Kofi Twumasi, you are welcome.
Thank you.
By the way, I am Belle Osaibonsu. What brings you to Ghana?
Well, of course, naturally, I am from Ghana.
Okay.
Though I have this American accent, I am from Ghana, biologically and psychologically
Okay.
Ghanaian. But
Okay.
of course, I came here because I'm doing some meetings
Okay.
and doing some orientation for a forthcoming national satellite campaign.
Okay.
That, of course, we're going to be briefing on within this interview.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
First and foremost, I am a lawyer by profession. I am a progeny of a pastor, and I'm also a missionary. I've been engaging in missions for the past 10 years. And of course, over those 10 years, I formed my own nonprofit organization, Mission Driven Purpose, and we have been in countries such as Malawi, Kenya, and of course, in the motherland of Ghana.
What motivated you in setting up this NGO?
For sure, well, I always say there's three things that motivated me in setting up this NGO. Number one, what motivated me was in our community or in the cultural context in which this organization derived from. Number one, we were seeing a dearth of exemplars. Persons that we felt like should be doing missions weren't doing that in our community. So we said to ourselves, a group of us, let's see how we can actually engage in missions within our own cultural context. So we said, because there's no exemplars of missionaries, we want to start our own mission group. Then number two, why we also want to engage in missions is because in the world of Christianity, on this macrocosm of Christianity, we have seen that there's a whole lot of people practicing performative Christianity. What does that mean? There's persons that rhetorically talk about Christ, but don't engage in the deeds of Christ's mission. And we want to be an organization that doesn't necessarily talk about God in the abstract or in the metaphysical realm, but we want to ensure that God's mission that is enumerated into the scriptures is actually being practiced. So we also grew out of that context that we want to ensure that we're not just engaging in rhetorical leadership, but we're wedding words into action. We're actually not articulating, but we're executing. We're not just about rhetoric, but we're about results. And that is why we set up the organization. And then number three, we also want to bring a renaissance of spirituality. We believe in order for one to grow, well, let me even say this, let me make this bite-sized nugget even much more clear. It's not enough to grow physically, you must grow spiritually. We want to bring a renaissance of spirituality. Persons can find a refreshing way to still worship Christ, to still love Christ, to still relive Christ's mission, and on top of that, to still see themselves as a child of God, even if they have been demoralized within this macrocosm.
Good. So how has Mission Driven Purpose impacted the global community?
For sure. Well, Mission-Driven Purpose has impacted the global community, I would say, in three ways. Number one, has impacted the global community through institutional building. And what does that mean? Over the past 10 years, we have been able to construct church buildings. We have seen that oftentimes within the African terrain, oftentimes what you have is that there are churches being planted, but they are in church buildings for these churches. So as an organization, we want to engage in institutional building because it's through institutional building that allows persons to gain amelioration within their socioeconomic environment, that allows them to gain amelioration within their spiritual lives. So we want to ensure that we engage in institutional building. The church is one of the longest running institutions, and as an organization, we want to ensure that we are making a home for persons within this world so that they can find Christ within their own cultural milieu. Then number two, another aspect of our organization that we want to ensure that we engage in is mentoring and being role models to others. We understand that in order for one to see themselves as a great individual, then he needs to have an intimate acquaintance with greatness. We want to be ensured that as an organization, we are role models for persons out there who are looking for persons that are filled with Christ, that are nourished with Christ. We want to ensure that we are engaging in this role model culture. So we've been able to mentor over 11 people over the past 10 years. And then aside from that as well, as an organization, we want to ensure that we engage in health and wellness. So over the past 10 years, we have been able to serve people medically within this macrocosm. them. And I could go on and add a little bit more, but I think our proudest accomplishment is bringing over 1,616 people to Christ and doing this in countries in Malawi, doing this in Kenya, doing this domestically in the United States, and doing this in my homeland of Ghana.
Okay, okay. So what is the theme of the upcoming satellite campaign in Ghana?
Well, the theme for this forthcoming satellite campaign is living with hope. And why did we go with this theme? This theme, in my humble opinion, is simple enough and it rhymes enough, and I believe that persons will find some type of intimate acquaintance with this theme, living with hope. The reason is we don't want people to live in fear. We want them to live with hope. We don't want them to live in sickness. We want them to live with hope. We don't want people to live with anxiety. We want them to live with hope. The end of year, where we're going to be placing this campaign in December, we want to ensure persons that though during the year you may have gone through hurdles, you may have gone through obstacles, you may have gone through speed bumps, we want to ensure at the end of the year, as you're about to transition to 2024, that you're not going to live with the anxieties that were cumbersome over you, but at the end of the day, you are going to live with hope and see yourself as a hopeful person in 2024.
That's good. So what should we expect during the campaigns, and who is it for?
In Christianity, we have understood that there's, I believe, about 4 or 5 zones that is stagnating people's spiritual growth. Number one, people are going through what I call a coasting zone. They're coasting with their spirituality. This campaign that we're going to do in December, we want to ensure that persons are not coasting with their spirituality, but persons are fully immersed with their spiritual experience and with their theological experience with God. Then the second aspect that I realized that some persons need to be challenged. You see, Christianity, you also need to be challenged as well. The expectation for this campaign is that persons will be challenged. So you're moving from the coasting zone to the challenge zone. Persons will be challenged to do something they have never done in their own Christological experience. Then the third aspect as well that we hope persons will extract from this evangelistic campaign, or the expectations, is that they should expect themselves to now see themselves being creative. How can they be creative with their spiritual lives? Persons feel that my spiritual life is mundane, my spiritual life is dull, my spiritual life is not exciting. We want persons to now exercise the fertility of the imagination and find ways to be creative in how they worship God. So with the expectations there, that's the problems that we see. So number one, what we expect is that we expect that persons will gain spiritual sophistication from this evangelistic campaign, that you will gain a robust and potent understanding about God. So number one is gaining a highly sophisticated spiritual understanding of who God is. Then number two, a second expectation that we also have for this trip that all those will be able to get is what we call a transformational experience. We pray that those who are going to be watching this satellite campaign will be transformed, because we understand transformed people transform societies. Then the third aspect is that it will be a transcendental experience, that persons will now go above and beyond. They just won't sit in their corners idly, but they will engage. They will be practical. They will not just be theoretical, but they will practice deeds and actually live up to the true calling. Then I want to add the other portion of your question as well, because what are the expectations? And at the end of the day, what do we see those who are going to be tuning in? What should they also visualize from this campaign as well? We want them to see themselves as children of God, and because we want them to see them as children of God, this is for the entire country. So we don't care about your faith persuasion. We just want you to be motivated. We want you to get that dopamine within your system so you understand who God is and now fully live within your theological experience. So this campaign is ubiquitous.
Okay, so what do you expect of us? How
Yes.
can we all be involved to ensure a successful satellite campaign?
Belle, you're asking the right questions now. Come on now, let me speak to the people at home. I have 3 ways that you should get involved. Number one, you must be what we call a digital purveyor. What does that mean? I know it's fluid words, but I want to say this. You must be a digital purveyor. What does that mean? That we now live in what we call a non-analog age. In this non-analog age, we understand that social media has taken control of our lives, from Facebook, from the messages that we send on WhatsApp, from TikTok, from Instagram, Twitter, or now it's called X, all these different social media platforms. So we need you to be a digital purveyor. What we want you to do is that when this flyer, when you see this flyer, what we want you to do is share this on your social media channels, whether it's on your WhatsApp status, whether it's on your Facebook status, whether it's on your Facebook wall, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram. We also want you to be creative as well. What did I say in the previous question? We want you to explore your own imagination as well. So be creative as well. How can you promote this campaign on your TikTok? What creative videos can you do? How can you share your baptismal experience so that persons out there that are going to be contemplating about baptizing, they'll be able to hear your story, because we understand that people discern better through images and sound, right? How can you tell your story in a creative and a refreshing manner on all these social media channels? So number one, be a digital purveyor. Number two, you need to exercise self-leadership. In order for you to go to the next level, you must lead your way to the next level. So if you want to be involved, you personally need to self-inquire to yourself. How can I ensure that personally I can be involved? How can I volunteer? So the campaign, we're going to be doing it at different sites, right? There's different countries all across the country that are going to be hosting it. You need to say to yourself, I need to exercise self-leadership. How can I lead my way to be a volunteer for a church that's going to be conducting this satellite campaign? And then the third element that I believe in how persons can get involved is being a communitarian purveyor. What does that mean? Get involved in spreading this evangelistic campaign in your community. How can you make sure that persons at the marketplace know about this campaign? How can you ensure that persons in schools know about this campaign? How can you ensure persons at your job know about this campaign? How can you ensure your neighbors know about this campaign? How can you know different social justice groups can know about this campaign? So we want you to be a communitarian purveyor. So if you didn't get everything that I just said, number one, be a digital purveyor. Flood social media with this evangelistic campaign. Come up with various ways, TikTok videos, Instagram, whatever you can do. Number two, you have to exercise self-leadership. How can I thrust myself and be a part of these national satellite campaigns all across the country? And then be a communitarian purveyor. How can I engage and now proliferate this message within the community? Host watch parties, host something at your home, invite people over to your place.
Okay, so when is the campaign?
I want you to understand this. From December 1 to 9, I need to use some American verbiage here. It's going down, Bell. It's going, it's going down.
Okay.
So I want you to read my lips as well. This is going to be one of a kind. December 1 to 9, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. So you want to ensure that you're glued to your TV set at 6 p.m. because at 6:30 p.m. you don't want to miss it when the rocket launches. So we want you to be ensure December 1 to 9 from 6:30 to 9:30. But what are going to be the aspects incorporated into this program? So number one, obviously, there's going to be beautiful music, so we're making sure that that aesthetic is going to be there. Then number two, there's also going to be some series of messages before the speaker. So those of you who have maybe listened to TEDx Talks, we're going to be doing something similar as well. So we're going to be doing 10-minute talks for family life, which is going to be done by the renowned evangelist, Dr. Samson Kenneth Chumacy, coming all the way from the United States of America. Then we're also going to have a health and wellness session as well, which is going to be led by the U.S. volunteers that are going to be coming with Mission Driven Purpose, which is going to be led by Dr. Candy Donko, our relief director for Mission Driven Purpose. And then I'm also going to be doing one on empowerment as well. I want to ensure that you are empowered within your own Christian lives. So those are going to be some of the aspects before the keynote message. And the keynote message is going to be by Pastor Kojo Chumacy, exceptionally brilliant, one of the finest gospel ministers and evangelists, true evangelists, and he's going to be the keynote speaker as well. But those who are going to be at the venue, I want to say this, and even if you're not close to the venue, I encourage you, though we're going to have these all across the country, if you can make it to the venue in Sunyani, you should, because we're going to be doing medical screening. We're going to have the team from America that's going to be doing some medical screening as well. Not only that, you get to physically touch us as well, and also, obviously also within the venue space as well, we will have, or you have the opportunity to ask us questions as well. So this is going down December 1 to 9. So folks out there, it will be in Sunyani, but trust me, Sunyani is going to be hot. Folk are going to know exactly what. Just ask, where's the Living with Hope campaign? Trust me, somebody in the marketplace, somebody on the street will tell you exactly where to go. We are taking over the city. You see, let me tell you something about Mission Driven Purpose. We don't just believe in success, we believe in greatness. You see, there's a difference between success and greatness. Success is about power and influence. Greatness is what you do with that power and influence. The power that we're bringing this December, we are going to do something enormous with that power. Of course, with the backing of Christ, but we want to ensure that those all over the country receive this evangelistic campaign wholeheartedly.
Wow. Yeah, to you out there, please, do not let this opportunity pass you by, and do not be selfish. Share this information with all those you care about. From 1st December to 9th December, tune in to Hope TV every evening from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And come and learn how to live with hope. Lawyer Chumesi, your last words.
For sure, for sure. My final words are, we want you to patronize this campaign. So patronize this campaign, support it, do what you can to proliferate the word about this campaign. But at the end of the day, we want you to live with hope, because we believe it's not enough to grow physically, you must grow spiritually.
Okay. Me bonne tofan. Nyo kan say, mo hu donti, wo mo NGO I wo United States of America. I a friend no Mission Driven Purpose. Wo mo e free US abagana ha. Na wo mo di dwumedi bia be hyehye so. Ya to edin say living with hope. Na wo mo nya kro bia so amba say Ghana ha. E na mo di esi o mo ni so o mbeba no mabeboa yen. Na nyame ya adomo a omo ekwakwakwosi nkonwa ewo sunyane. Na wo mo di saa dwumedi ahyehye so kama. Om de befa Hope TV so. Na mo be kyerɛkyerɛ apɔmudini ho nsɛm ɔmbɛsan ya kyerɛkyerɛ sɛ de yebusua betimi akɔso na mo de nyamesɛm kan so tia wa de atwato na mo hyɛ nyina nkran sɛ mmere ne so a December 1st December ekopim 9th December obia mbɔmɔden sɛ ɔdi na efidie ne beto Hope TV sɛ woni Hope TV decoder o de bɛn asafo kɔ asɔre bɛn wo Adventist Church bɛn wo kɔ na obenya TV ni bi ahwɛ wa asɔre fie ho unkɔ so a unko amenkɔ twiwadamfo bi a ohia nkenyan a ohia Kristo mu anidaso twene di wachi na fa no kɔ ho from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. yem sɛ wo mre kra na bomodi asɛ wode ho bɛhyem na dwuma no so ya to ni din sɛ living with hope sisi ana ye femu ne ye hia anidaso ewo ya brabom enti bomodi asɛ wode ho bɛhyem hwe na wo hwa obɛhwɛ sɛ obetimi akɔ site also osunyane nso so a obɛkɔ hɔ bi wo bi nso wo fie wo decoder ne bi wo fie atumi chi Hope TV nso ye hye wo kran sɛ menye pesami nkominya frɛ wadamfo sɛ impo that period na enyumbre bia obɛyɛ dua na we invite wo na mfa mama bedi bia frɛ won na mudidi no na mudi mo afidie e de ato Hope TV so na ebra mudidi munya honam aduane no na honhom nso munya mo aduane na sɛ de ɛbɛyɛ a Kristo bɛba no nso so enam saa yɔ so nti no betimi anya akra bi a ebenya no abɔ nesu na wanya nsoroma e de atare wa henkyɛw no so